Welcome to Jane Jackson Careers, a podcast that takes your career to the next level. Here's your host, Jane Jackson, author of Amazon Careers bestseller, Navigating Career Crossroads.
Well, hello and welcome back to my Careers podcast. Now, usually I interview fascinating professionals who've made interesting career changes, but I'm thinking about you today, and I just thought I'd have a bit of a chat about interviews because so many of my clients are really worried about how they can interview really well, and they feel quite nervous when they're going in for interviews. So I thought I'd just have a chat with you about some things that I've discovered over the past 15 years when I've been coaching clients, and one really interesting study was conducted by Korn Ferry a few years ago, and they interviewed 450 recruiters and asked them what the fatal flaws of interviewees were. And so as you're probably looking for a job or thinking about your job, or you might be going for an interview soon because you're just exploring, let's find out what the 4 fatal flaws of interviewees are so you don't make those mistakes. Okay, does that sound good? Okay, so there are 4 fatal flaws, and they really are quite unforgivable because once you know what they are, you don't need to make them. Now, the first fatal flaw is lack of preparation. So prepare, because when it comes to interviews, if you're not well prepared, you will not come across strongly and you won't feel very confident either. So how do you prepare? Well, the first thing you need to do is to, first of all, if you're going to be called in for an interview, you'll find out, obviously, who you're going to be meeting, whether it's going to be a recruiter, is it going to be the hiring manager, and also you're going to be told what company it is that you're going to be interviewing at. So please make sure that as soon as you know what the company is, that you research that company. Have a look on Google, go into the information databases such as Global OneSource. That's a really good one. And if you don't have access to Global OneSource, you might want to join your local library, because once you join a local library, especially in Australia, if you're listening in Australia, you go to any of your local libraries and very often your membership is free. However, when you join, you will get access to their information databases. And if they have something like Global OneSource, then you'll be able to research industry trends, research different companies, find out who are the key executives, latest news articles and reports. You can even do a peer report so you can find out the competitors. So that would be a really good thing for you to do. Do as much research as you can so that you know about the company, because you may be asked, so what do you know about us? What do you know about our industry? Are you up to speed with the changes that are going on in our industry, with our company, or even with our competitors? And so if you don't know what's going on, then you won't come across as very prepared, will you? It's quite obvious, but anyway, spend time preparing because it's really important. The other thing is prepare yourself. One of the most common questions in interviews is, so tell me about yourself, or tell me about your professional background, or tell me a little bit about your work history. So what are you going to say? This is your one chance to really sell yourself very, very well, or talk about yourself. And it's great if you can come across as casually and professionally as possible, because if you're feeling confident, you'll be able to talk about it without that anxiety. Okay, so think about what you're going to say. Analyze the job that you're going for and all of those must-haves, the key skills and experience that they're looking for. Work it into your positioning statement, or what I like to call your pitch. And if you keep it to around about a minute or so that you can let them know, well, your most recent role was, this is what you did, the key accomplishments were, these were the key responsibilities of the role as well, then you're going to come across very, very confidently. You'll be comfortable talking about yourself. But if you're not prepared, then you won't really know what to say. And there could be a little bit of a gap while you're thinking. You may say quite a lot. Now, we all do say ums and ahs, and I certainly do as well. But you tend to do a lot more of it when you're not prepared. So make sure you know what you're going to say when someone says, "So, tell me about yourself." In a later podcast, I'll talk all about how to actually craft your positioning statement or craft a statement that explains why you're looking for a job as well. So in order to interview well, make sure you don't make this fatal flaw, and that is not be prepared. Now, the second fatal flaw is talking too much, would you believe? Now, I talk for a living, so I always talk too much. But in an interview, you've got to be really careful, because if you talk too much in an interview, it's probably because you're feeling a bit nervous, or you haven't listened to the question properly and you're not quite sure what you're saying. Have you ever gone through a time when you're kind of talking and talking and talking, and then you suddenly think, oh my goodness, what was the question again? And you keep talking and you dig yourself into a bigger hole, and you hope that sooner or later you'll say something that will resonate with the listener. Well, that's not really a good idea, because you may go completely off track. So make sure that you are well prepared for the interviews by practicing active listening. When you listen to the question, if you're not sure what they're saying or what they're asking you, just ask for clarification. There's nothing wrong with that. And you can paraphrase the question to be sure that you have understood it correctly. And so answer the question, and once you've answered that specific question, then stop. Don't keep talking and talking. What you can do is ask them, have I covered this question sufficiently? Would you like me to expand on any aspect of this example? And then that's giving you permission to talk more, and they'll let you know what they're actually interested in. So make sure you listen to the question well, and it will help you not to talk too much. If you do some deep breathing exercises before the interview, you prepare well, you breathe and relax, then you'll find that you will listen a lot more carefully as well. The third fatal flaw is an over-exaggerated sense of self-importance. And this really is quite funny to see. It's usually because people are feeling a bit nervous and they're trying to overcompensate for what they feel that they're lacking in. So don't let this be you. Just be your wonderful, humble self. And when you're talking, no need to talk yourself up. All you need to do is tell them about your accomplishments. What have you done? Because your actions and your past actions will demonstrate your worth already. So people tend to like people who are humble, who know what they're doing, are able to talk about what they're actually good at, but without having to big note themselves. Just be yourself and let them know how good you actually are through the examples that you're going to give them. And what examples will you give them? Well, if you think about your accomplishments by working through that situation, action, result methodology that I've talked about frequently in my previous podcasts, and also I can talk a bit more about them in the future podcasts, just by breaking down what you've done in the past by the situation that you encountered, the action that you needed to take in order to get over that particular situation or problem, and then what was the tangible result? Did you save time? Did you save money? Did you streamline processes? Did you somehow improve the sales effort? Or did you even just improve the morale within the department? What did you do that made a difference? You talk about that. That will sell you already. You don't need to let people know that you're amazing. Just let your actions speak for themselves. And then one more fatal flaw when it comes to interviewing, and that is inappropriate dressing or poor grooming. Now, you don't often see this when people go for interviews, because most people do tend to dress appropriately for an interview, or at least they try to dress appropriately. So do your research beforehand. Make sure you know what is appropriate attire for that particular role, because whether you're going for a tech role or a CEO role or a finance role or a junior technician role or a support role, there may be a different dress code. So do your research and make sure that whatever people normally wear in that role, well, why not dress one notch above that? Show that you care and you're really keen on the role, so you spent the time to dress appropriately. Poor grooming. Well, obviously, it's important to make sure that you're clean. You use deodorant. I'm sorry to have to mention that, but it is important. Clean nails, clean hair. Shave before you go. Don't have stubble unless you're going for a role that requires designer stubble, gentlemen. Okay, but just be clean. Don't use too much perfume or aftershave, because sometimes the smell of a perfume or the aroma of a perfume could invoke positive or negative memories for the person sitting opposite you. So just don't splash on that aftershave and go crazy with a perfume. Make sure it's quite discreet as well. So just to recap, those 4 fatal flaws are: lack of preparation. Flaw number 2 is an over-exaggerated sense of self-importance. Flaw number 3 is talking too much because you haven't really listened to the question and you're too nervous. And flaw number 4 is inappropriate dressing or poor grooming. So if you take care of all of these 4 fatal flaws, you will present yourself much more strongly and you should be able to ace your interview. So that's it for today. I hope it's been helpful and we'll see you next time. Bye. Today's podcast is brought to you by audible.com. You can get a free audiobook download and free 30-day trial at audibletrial.com/Jane Jackson Careers. There are over 180,000 book titles to choose, so give it a go and get your free audiobook today from audibletrial.com/Jane Jackson Careers.
You've been listening to Jane Jackson Careers. Sign up to receive regular career advice at janejacksoncoach.com.